Hey nerds, I have been struggling for a while now to figure out what types of videos I want to make on this channel because I feel like the further I get into this writing journey, the more I realize that I don't know. And the more I realize that writing advice can just be so subjective. What works for one person doesn't work for another. What works for one project doesn't work for another one. And I think that our channel is strongest and these videos are strongest when we are sharing our journeys and building community and discussing things with you, which is why our live chats are honestly my favorite part. I think all of our favorite parts of this channel. So with that in mind, I've come up with 3 types of videos that I think I'm going to kind of cycle through on a repeating basis when it's my video days. Writing updates, reading updates, and a highlight of things that are currently inspiring me. And of course, some weeks I might do a write-in instead of a video. Honestly, those are usually the weeks that I've forgotten to film something, or maybe sometimes I might have a writing topic that I want to give my perspective on or some advice on. But yeah, I think from this point on, I really just want to focus on sharing my journey with all of you. So all of that being said, today let's talk about what's been inspiring me lately. So I've broken this down into some categories. First up is a book, or in this case, books. I have been reading or rereading The Bear and the Nightingale trilogy by Catherine Arden. I read the first book a couple years ago, and now I'm finally getting around to rereading it and finishing the rest of the trilogy. I think this was one of the first books that made me think, maybe I can actually enjoy adult fantasy, which then led to maybe I could write it eventually too. And right now I'm actually in the process of rewriting a book that I wrote a few years ago, and one of the things I'm doing is making it an adult fantasy instead of a young adult fantasy. So it's been really great to come back to this series, especially because it's definitely the type of adult fantasy that I want to be able to write, something that is kind of inspired or influenced by fairy tales and mythology, or at least has that kind of flavor to it. So it's really been getting me excited to write that project again and has been a big source of inspiration for me. Second is a TV show or movie, which I have just been obsessed lately with The Haunting of Hill House. I know I came to it late, but we watched it together as WordNerds, and then I rewatched it again when I made my husband watch it. And it's just so well made in general that it's just been inspiring me to want to tell stories, but also one kind of common thread in some of the things that are inspiring me right now are stories that deal with past and present and different timelines, because that's something that I'm working with in my current book, and Hill House does such a fantastic job of kind of revealing things from the past and showing how events in the past are influencing the present, and it's just so good. I'm glad that I finally got around to watching it. The third category is music. I have been listening to some soundtracks lately as I've been getting back into writing, and one of my favorites that I've been listening to a lot is the soundtrack for the Witcher TV series. I love this soundtrack, and I particularly like that it has both instrumental music as well as songs with lyrics, so you get a good mix of things. I know that Toss a Coin to Your Witcher is, of course, the most popular song because it gets stuck in your head so much, but my favorite of the Bard's songs is actually Her Sweet Kiss, and I've been listening to that a lot lately, as well as the kind of instrumental version of it, which is called Every Time You Leave. Highly recommend those 2 tracks for writing a romantic fantasy. And finally, a miscellaneous category, which I'm going to use this time for a video game called The Gardens Between. I don't know how well you can see that. That's kind of the start page for it. This is a gorgeous puzzle-based video game about 2 best friends, and it kind of goes through their different memories of their friendship. And in each level, you are moving forwards and backwards through these memories in order to manipulate certain things and solve the puzzle and complete the level. I'll link to like the trailer or a good review of it or something, because I feel like I'm not very good at describing and reviewing video games. But I am obsessed with this game. I played it a few months ago, and even though I have been finished with it for a while, I still think about it all the time. Mechanically, it's a puzzle-solving game, but it also has a story woven through it about friendship and memories and the passage of time, which, as I mentioned, my book kind of deals with time and memories, so that has been really inspiring for me specifically for that book, but also just when it comes to telling effective stories. So as you can see, I played it on my Switch, but I know it's available for other consoles as well, and I highly recommend it. It's a a beautiful, pretty quick, not too difficult game. So those are some of the things that have been inspiring me lately. Let me know down in the comments what has been an inspiration to you in your writing as well. Let's share so we can all get inspired. And don't forget to join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This week is our book club, so we'll be talking about Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, one of my favorite books from last year, so you should definitely read it if you haven't yet, and join us to discuss it.